It's time to serve. And there are so many ways to do that in understanding, number one, who you are. Number two, what is your story? How can you lead others by example and also with influence and impact? This episode was phenomenal because we uncovered strategies on how to present your story. And also we talk about experiences on how to serve, because we know that those who are humbled will soon, in due time, be exalted. Can't wait for you to check this out. Tune in, guys. There are so many things to legit be grateful for. And when I think about, I was thinking about serving at this place the other day, and it just reminded me of how blessed and fortunate we are to be in the position of, number one, being able to say thank you, God, and also number two, to look at our days and really think about, like, who did I impact? Is there anyone that I influenced, you know? And we travel so much. And specifically, I was traveling for a speaking opportunity. And at this particular event, I remember looking at the crowd and the sea of people. And as opposed to having fear, I felt like accountable. I felt responsible for my leadership means something. And if I ever take for granted what I've been given, I could miss the biggest blessing.
Yeah, and it's funny, you had this event, maybe you can talk a little bit. I think something shifted one day, or something happened.
Yes, something happened. I was supposed to be on one particular platform and they shifted everything. And being an actor, like that is one of our biggest abilities, is to be able to improv on the spot.
Sure.
So I genuinely was a little, once things are set, you know,
right, I get that. Especially you flew all the way up here.
Yeah,
right,
like, this is
right,
far.
Right.
But I think there's a beauty in being able to pause in a pivot. And there was a moment where I could have freaked out because it was the platform and this was going on, and then they're going to switch the flow of how we do things. And it led me to realize that if you hold on to something that was already going to change, the responsibility is on you to be able to pivot within that moment. So when I was speaking, I pivoted, and that pivot led me to so much more than I ever could imagine, because there was so much influence and ability to reach people I wouldn't have if I was on the other platform. I had no idea. And so when I think about that's something small that happened personally to me, but when I think about life, there is power in being able to pivot and to pause, and then also to serve.
Yeah, sure.
So my vision, I was going to serve that vision. I knew what platform we're on. But when someone else gets a hold of something and it changes the trajectory of where you thought you were heading and going, there is a moment where you can serve their vision with all of your heart and with excellence and professionalism. Or you can complain and you can turn things into the you show. And as opposed to that, I remember feeling like, you know what? I thought it was going to work out a little bit differently, and it hasn't. But how can I best be a servant?
Yeah, but something happened, though. I think you said that you end up meeting like billionaires, or I don't remember. It was all these people because of where they had moved you.
Yes.
It was working in your favor anyway.
Yes. So that pivot actually was like a promotion.
Wow.
It was a pivot from a different platform into a promotion, because I was able to tangibly talk to the leaders, talk to the billionaires, talk to other people of influence at the top level, one-to-one, like how we're sitting.
Wow.
And sometimes, as you can imagine, if you're thinking about a speaker on a stage in front of all these people, you don't have that genuine connection. So for me, I respected the moment, because I'm like, this pivot led to my promotion, and this was on purpose.
Of course.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It was so cool. But that's life.
Yeah.
We have a choice, though. I could have paused and been really upset and just be like, no, put me back where I'm supposed to be.
Sure.
But that gave me a glimpse of when you serve others, and then also you put yourself in the seat of servitude and gratitude, no matter what happens, you can still get blessed.
Well, you can also say that you genuinely can serve your purpose. You can serve your
Definitely.
own desires
Right.
by still serving and helping other people meet their needs.
Come on. Yes.
You were able to network with
Oh, my
people that you
gosh.
wouldn't originally
Hundreds of
have even
people.
had
Yeah.
in the audience.
Correct.
But you were positioned, and it's funny how it works out in terms of timing.
Yeah.
You were in the place. It's like I said in the past, there's nothing worse in life than the right thing at the wrong time.
Of course.
But it's really beautiful to have the right thing at the right time, and where you were placed allowed you to network in a way that you wouldn't have been able to network.
That's right.
If you had the original script or the original place or the program had gone exactly like it was supposed to go. But this was the way it was supposed to go for you.
That's right. That's right.
You were able to network because you were where the net was.
Oof. Say that again.
You were able to network because you were where the net was.
Wow. Wow.
And I think that's something that right off the top of this show, you can understand. There are things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
And we all struggle with this. I struggle with it because we are in a world where you spend time, hours, sometimes days, weeks for us, months, preparing for something. And if it shifts, you have to, like Coach Ivana references often, like I speak about often, get to a point where there's a certain level of improvisation that you have, where you're able to make a maneuver and pivot, as she said, and recognize that it's all working together for your good. I love listening to Napoleon Hill, and he always talks about every situation having a seed of equivalent benefit. You just need to find the seed. Every single thing you're encountering, even when things don't go exactly as planned, there's something in it that is meant for you and only you to discover. But you have to have your eyes open and heart open, and you have to be willing to do the best thing possible.
That's so true.
To receive the best possible outcome.
Exactly. Yes. And speaking of outcome, we wrote something down really quick I want to share.
Sure.
Some of us actually miss the opportunity for advancement because we won't submit ourselves to the leader's needs, to the CEO's needs, to the authority's needs, to the need of whoever, just to serve our own purpose, you know? And we know biblically there is a beautiful, beautiful statement. Those who humble themselves will be exalted, right?
That's right?
In due time, you'll be exalted. So in a sense, look at it like those who make themselves lower will increase higher than imaginable, right? So I think about the moment I could have taken where frustration led to anger, anger led to discontentment, discontentment led to whatever, right? There was a choice I remember feeling to make where I was like, just because something is out of my control doesn't mean I need to mess it up for everybody else. Now, everybody else doesn't know this is happening backstage, but I know it's happening to me. But if I come out with a countenance that doesn't look anything like what I'm used to and representing
who
joy,
you are, right? Yeah, your brand, who you really are.
Brand, they can perceive something's not right. Or she's a little different, or a little off today, right? So when I think about the choice you make, it affects everything.
Yes, of course.
It affects others. It affects the atmosphere. It affects everything, period. And the beauty in when you humble yourself. Now, this is not a viral video that's going to be like everybody's going to click, 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 because they're talking about humility.
You'd be surprised.
Well, maybe. Well, service to me is that has always been one of the ways that I feel most connected to people. That has, I mean, it warms my heart. It brings tears to my eyes. If someone's in need and I can help to fulfill that need, there's no greater feeling in the world for me. And I'll never forget when you were mentioning with the net, there were high profile net worth people around me. Way up there, right? More zeros than the freaking, what has a lot of zeros?
Tests in USA schools.
Forget it. I gave it to you and you just dropped it. You dropped it. But anyway.
A lot of classes you know dropped this year too.
Stay ready. You got to get ready.
I think that's one over your head.
No, I don't think so. Over your head. Stay ready. Anyway, so when I think about the moment that we have to serve, it takes away the pressure. It takes away what you thought was going to happen. And in the moment of servitude, and I say this because you can apply it to anything. You can serve your kids better. You can serve your mission better. You can serve a team better. You can serve the boss better. How we speak to a situation in servitude is everything. Whether we say it out loud or whether we say it internally, it affects the moment that we can deliver for someone else in a bigger way. And so when I think about those things, you have to think about also submission and sacrifice.
Sure.
You've got to be able to sacrifice what you want, how you feel, what you think you need to present in whatever form and fashion, and submit under the leader at that time. And the leader could be a friend, it could be an associate or a CEO. But when you do that, those two keys are the strategies behind how you can now take yourself from here to here. And whether you see it at that time or not, it always will happen because it's a principle.
Mm-hmm. And principles work no matter who uses them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest strategies you could ever use is to get wisdom.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No matter what you get, yes, get knowledge. Study all the time to show yourself approved.
Mm-hmm.
That you are a worksman, that you don't have any need to be ashamed.
Yeah.
All right? That's scripture talking, but it's a very wise principle.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to be studying minds that challenge conventional thinking.
True.
You need to be getting yourself more inputs than what you currently have that are speaking things that challenge the way you perceive life and the way you perceive people and the way you perceive circumstances. You need to be challenging yourself to learn principles because life is literally built upon principles. Now, some of you may be asking, well, what the heck are you talking about when you say principles? It's not the same thing as laws from the legal sense, but universally, there are laws that guide the way things work, right? Mathematics is, in many cases, a principle. If it's applied, there are things that have to work based upon the equation. 2 plus 2, no matter how much we joke about this, will always equal 4. It will always. It is built on and established on principle. Coach Ivana is stressing the fact that there are things that you do in your life that have to bring about a certain result because that's the way life is set up.
Right.
And this principle that we're talking about right now is one that we love. It's called give, and it shall come back to you.
Yeah.
This is why we stress that early. You have to remember that giving in many cases is the very thing that is stopping you from receiving. And I'm challenging you because servitude doesn't necessarily need to be 501c3, although that is a form. It doesn't mean that you need to go and feed the homeless at a shelter, though that is a form. But there are other things you can do with principles. You can give of your time, and it will be given back to you. You can give someone encouragement and support, and it will be given back to you. There's a scripture that says, he who waters will himself be watered. If you want to feel refreshed and you're feeling beat down and you're feeling a little like you're not being seen, then open your eyes and see everyone else around you.
Yeah.
Tell them that you see them. I make it an intentional habit. This is a strategy you can use. Even when I'm feeling down, as high as I typically am in life, and high octane as I am, I do get down sometimes because there's a lot riding on me being the man that I want to be. But I challenge myself. I can show you right now on my phone hundreds of text messages to people in my contacts list, people I haven't spoken to in years, letting them know how much I appreciate them, letting them know what their life meant to me, letting them know that this was a lesson I learned from them that they didn't know that I was learning, letting them know that because of something they did 5, 10, 15, and some, 20 years ago, I literally called my godmother just this week and told her how much it meant to me that when she was working and serving in the military, stationed in Germany, she would fly all the way around the world to come see me, and she would bring me a gift all the way from Germany. And I tell her that those things meant more to me than she'll ever know, and they're a part of who I am as a man today. And I am not making this story up. I am literally telling you what I do. I have another friend, in fact, the guest that was on our show, James Leith. He says, Charles, why is it that you are constantly thinking of me, or you'll reach out and just let me know that I was on your mind? And I told him, I know the significance, and the importance of being seen. of knowing that because there's nothing I need from you, there's something I need to do. I can give you encouragement. And I'm telling you, this is also now why some of the relationships I've had are as strong as they are and have lasted time, even though I haven't seen some of these people in years. That's a strategy built upon principle that you can use. If you're looking for something, start giving it and it will find you.
You know, when I was thinking about the networking, it's so beautiful because you can be selective on who you talk to, and you can be very inclusive in who you talk to.
Sure.
There was a moment during the event where there was a blind man that walked in, and he had the cane, and he was 100% legally blind. And first, I don't know how he did it, but he went through subways to the bus and made it to this event and was super excited about it. And I remember him walking by himself, like almost running into kids and adults, and people would look at him weird, like, what is he doing out here by himself? But I'm like, as opposed to looking at him like that, how can we serve him? So I was speaking for a short amount of time for that segment, got off, and then walked right over to him and tried to figure out how can we make this the best experience possible for you. Now watch, this is not about me. This is about the moment of servitude that can transform your life. This man could not see, but I made the choice to see him. In that moment, he said, there is an attraction within this event that I would like to go to and to see and to experience, right? Seeing equals experience for someone that is blind.
Sure.
I said, okay, so what do we need to do to get you there? He said, well, if you can just guide me, I will follow you. Now, this was huge. Because there are so many people that need guidance.
Yeah.
There are so many people that need to be seen. And my strength is being able to see other people. My superpower is being able to see other people, walk them and lead them and guide them to where they need to go so that they can grow. And so I walked this man all the way to this attraction, and he positioned his face to look at me, and he said, this is one of the greatest days I've ever had in my life. And this man had to be about 45 years old. And I said, why would you say that? He said, because you see me. I lost it. I lost it like I'm losing it now. And the beauty behind making the choice to serve other people is that you don't know if it can impact their entire life, their entire moment. And it stuck with me all day long. And I remember feeling like, what if I chose not to see him?
And how many have?
What if I chose not to help him? Like, this man he was like laughing and having so much fun at this attraction. And I'm just looking at him and I'm like, it was because I chose better. Like, I actually chose to see someone that couldn't see. Go ahead and take it away. Just go ahead. Let me take care of myself.
No, I love it. And I know that you can appreciate that, because that is, in essence, the fullness of why we do what we do. And we're trying hard all the time to make these resources available, to make ourselves available, to create programs. Even our book, The Flight of Your Life, which, by the way, you should be able to see, has been republished. And it has been republished under our own private publishing label. Because we want, and we've tried to create platforms that other people can use to maximize their impact. And this is our way of creating yet another step in our incredible programming that will help people to find their story and then give their story. One of the greatest things ever said to me, in the simple quote, my friend and brother, Dr. Jamil Northcutt, said, you got to share your story.
You know, sharing your story, it's everything. That's your blueprint on earth. That just came to me, by the way.
Listening.
That's your blueprint on earth. and to be able to share your story, to be
Sure.
able to formulate your story to where others can tangibly feel something is everything.
Yeah.
And I think about public speaking as the number one fear for I shouldn't say
Yeah,
everyone,
it's
but
about
that,
80 to 90%, right?
research suggests
Yes, that's right.
that public speaking is the greatest fear in the world. And sharing your story can look so many different ways.
That's right.
You can share your story through a book. You can share your story through an audio.
That's
You can
right.
share your story through a podcast. You can share your story through speaking, on platforms. And
Reels.
I think the hardest thing when I was walking my client through the strategies behind sharing your story and the narrative that needs to be presented so people can feel it, it could be tangible for people so they won't check out and go to sleep. I remember he's like, well, it's easy for you because your life is a story and you're always so perfect in that sense. And I said, what does perfect have anything to do with my story?
Especially
My
considering
story is
you
not
don't know
perfect,
my story.
and you don't know my story, okay? Don't be trying to check coach, you know what I mean? And so after we were talking for a little while, because I knew as a coach, I knew that was projected energy, that was just an emotion of fear. And so being able to stand in that maturity, I said, okay, let's get back to business and write this narrative. And he said, I want to share my story, but I don't know how it will be received. And I said, well, why do you care?
That's right, because that's not the
Why do you
problem that you're
care?
solving.
Like, who cares about how it's going to be received? Because someone's going to receive it.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't matter. And the more perfect and the more structured and cookie cutter it becomes, it could be the worst setup for the person that just wants it messy, just wants it like, just
tell
talk to me about your
Yeah,
life.
just talk.
A lot of times we tune in, and you might be able to say the same, when speakers are speaking, I'm always looking for the narrative behind the story.
Yeah.
Don't just give me statistical facts and
Right.
I'm not, my brain doesn't work like
Boring.
that.
Right.
I need to feel something.
That's right.
And so sometimes
An
it could,
experience.
an experience. Create an experience with your story. And one might say, well, I don't have my story. What experience am I? There's something in your story for everyone.
Absolutely.
Your story makes you credible. You have a credibility attached to your name. It's like a blue Instagram check, your story, right? And when I think about moments of impact and influence, it's the way that we're able to share our experiences now that paints a picture for our audience to understand the story. So the value is not being perfect. The value is not even,
It's being presented.
come on, that's it, go ahead.
It's being presented.
That's it.
I had a call with Kendall Ficklin. Some of you may know him. Incredible, prolific speaker, coach, and he was the right-hand man to E.T. Thomas, Eric Thomas, the legend. And we were on a phone call just chatting, and he said to me one time, he says, Charles, you have to remember, you and I are very similar. This is literally his words to me. He said, because we grew up serving other people. But there's a thing that we miss. Sometimes we get to a point in our servitude where our servitude is meant to serve the people only we can serve. Let me clarify. He said, you believe in Jesus? Absolutely. He said, Jesus said, my sheep will hear my voice. He said, there are sheep, Charles, whose ear has only been tuned to receive
Got it.
your voice.
Got it. That's deep. Ooh, that's deep.
How you say it, as incorrect grammar as you possibly could think and imagine, is perfect for the person who needs to hear it from you.
Come on.
As unprofessional and unpoised as you might look and feel, there's someone who's going to receive exactly what they needed to receive from you.
I just thought of something.
Because it is your voice and they are waiting on you to serve. I have to make two more points. Can I make? I know. Go ahead.
Real quick.
Make it quick.
Because
Make
I
it
feel
quick.
like this is a charge for the elect.
Make it quick.
And the elected are the parents. Parents, start sharing your story with your children. That's the greatest way to uncover some of the most beautiful moments. It might have been hard. You can select what parts of your story need to be shared. But some of the unspoken stories, some of the unshared stories are the things that are keeping the family bound. That's just real. So when you share something like that as a parent to your offspring, that can change the trajectory of your whole legend. your whole
legacy.
legacy. Excuse
Understood.
me.
Well, yeah,
Your
you're a
whole-
legend too. I mean,
You're a legend?
'cause-
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to make this point because
ahead,
it's
go
important,
ahead.
but I definitely want to tack on that. And I knew that's why I wanted to say it, because
ahead.
you were going to say something good. Coach Conzo Martin was a guest on our show, and he said something that has stuck with me, and I'm going to put it anywhere and everywhere I can. And I'm saying this to you, not just parents, leaders, teachers, but he said, Charles, I am trying to live in such a way that when my life ends, my children want to be in the room.
See? That's right.
Because what you don't want is to leave here and your grandkids and potentially their kids not have any recollection of you that was given to them by your kids.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't want to forget the other point because it's very important, and I want to say it clearly to you. When I give a keynote speech, one of my keynote signature speeches is the flight theory. And in it, I talk about the problem that you solve. It is one of the things that you've heard in Business Illustrated across all platforms. People often say, you need to focus on the problem that you solve. That's the key to entrepreneurship or business.
Right.
But the reality is we miss that because we keep thinking about monetary gain. We have to see that the problem that we solve is what we need to be looking for in every instance in our life. Yeah. Because the words that you share, the things that you've been through, the things that you've walked through, the courage that you found, the strength that you pulled yourself off the ground with is enough to solve someone else's problem. Because one of my favorite scriptures says, after you've gone through, you are able to give the same encouragement that you yourself found. Yeah. And some of you are missing that is what your true mission is, because you won't speak about the things you've been through, that you've seen. And you love to tell the story of how successful you are, but you don't tell anyone about the sacrifice. You don't tell anybody about the struggle. You don't tell anyone about the circumstances that you chose. And those are the things that could give courage to the people you are hoping to lead. They need to hear.
Yeah.
Not just you
Come on.
need to share. They need to receive.
Right. I was watching a phenomenal leader, and thank you for sharing that. And most people don't want to share their story. Sure. Because they are questioned about it, meaning, so the adversary in your life that could have the voice that says, don't you share that story. What will they think of you? What will they say of you? Hide that. The adversary works in question forms for those that are mature.
Sure.
What will happen if you share that story?
Did he really say not eat it?
Did he really? Right. And it goes all the way back to the beginning.
All the way back to the beginning.
When you think about the question, the interrogative, it's scary because you can be asked something that shifts the direction of which you were destined and going to go. And so when you hear that question, I want to present to you a strategy that can help to fortify you from the inside out. Question is, why would you share that story? You can fill in the blank to your kids, on stage, to anyone, to your friend. Why would you share that story? What would they think of you? So you need to hear the reversal. I always work on the reversal. If someone says something negative about me, or if something or a question is posed that way, flip it. Flip the question. Okay. You can even make it a statement. They will think greatly of me.
That's right.
When I share this story. What will they think of me? What will it mean when I share this story? How I can set myself up to be free from this because it could free someone else.
That's right.
There are moments where you just need to flip the script. If you hear the question and the question taints anything to be a negative or presents itself to be a pessimistic thought, flip it, reverse it, and start thinking optimistically and start saying, when I share my story, and even write it, I have my clients write things all the time on their mirror, in their journal, on a piece of paper. When I talk about my story, it will lead to impact, influence, and transformation. And then list exactly what you want your story to look like. Now, I believe that this can apply to everyone. We talk to business leaders, we talk to CEOs, we talk to athletes, we talk to entrepreneurs, mothers, fathers. Here's the thing. Everyone has a story. And we're passionate about this because we understand that your story can be your legacy. Your story can be the thing that people gravitate to. In networking, I have a great friend. He's so good at networking. I'm always like, geez, this is ridiculous. And we are great networkers too, but it's how you work your net in the networking event or space. When you are asked, so what do you do for a living? That's a question that's always posed, but I don't really like it because you don't know me. Number one, you didn't even ask my name. You see my name tag if it's an event, and you just go off of like, okay, my look, and then you present me with a question. How can I either help, make that person a client, book them, whatever you're doing in your business. But I think it's so interpersonal. And I flipped how I do my networking immediately. And I say, before I answer that question, might I ask, what is your story? Like, I have seen people's faces like, what? You're changing the narrative. You're you're changing the script on how networking is supposed to run.
Which is also why it's ineffective in most cases.
Come on. You know how many business cards I've thrown in the garbage? Yeah, you know how many? 500.
You counted everyone?
I think so. The digital ones I keep on my phone, though.
Yeah,
I like
of
those.
course.
They're cute. But with that being said, if the net is already there, the fish are already in the net, right? You are the fisher that's going into this networking space or into this opportunity to create impact and influence as opposed to just getting something from someone or trying to make them a client. You have the option to say, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be a little bit more extroverted, or I'm going to even stay in my introverted self. And when someone comes to me, because not everybody likes, being the center or like talking a lot. When someone comes to me and they ask me, what do I do? I'm going to give them 3 parts of my life that is meant to influence, encourage, and inspire.
That's incredible. But again, that goes to your focusing on the problem that you solve. It is serving, letting someone be seen.
That's right.
Then
That's
you
right.
open up an opportunity for them to be heard.
Come on.
And now, because you're responding to them,
Yes.
there's a genuine relationship.
Yes.
And that solves a problem that is missing in most networking and, I would even say, just communication, period.
Exactly. Because it could be when I was in Chicago, I was hopping on the Uber Lyft. It could be the person in the vehicle that just needs to be seen, heard, loved, and respected. It could be that. And back to that event really quick, that one question that I asked that man, one question, so what is your story? People started to see the interaction, feel that type of energy, and all of a sudden, 10, 15, 20, 30, my friend was like, what the heck are you doing? But it's not what I'm doing. It's who I'm presenting.
Yeah.
It's the fact that authenticity matters. If that's how I want to arrive authentically, telling my truth and sharing in someone else's truth, well, that's a moment where people can tangibly feel that and they want to be where authenticity is. There's so many fake people in business. There's so many fake people in the world where it's time, I believe, to start changing the script. Change the narrative. Be a servant, number 1. Also, 2, know your story. 3, deliver it, intentionally believing that someone wants to hear it. Just wants to hear it. Someone is yearning to hear it and can grow from it and learn from it. And then if you are in business or if you are at a space, it could be not even network, it could be online, it could be anywhere where you want to build up the courage and confidence. That's what we're here to do. I personally help so many individuals transcend the way that they think about themselves so that when they are in a space where they have to be confident, they have their tool belt. They're equipped for change and they're also equipped to make impact.
Great. I mean, I think this has been an incredible show, and I hope that you really found some great value in it. If there's more that you need, if you feel like we've spoken to you, but you'd like to ask questions, we are human beings. One, you can say something in the comments. We'll respond. Every response is literally us responding, like us. And go to our website, aspirehigherlife.com. You can schedule a call with us. We're not going to spend the first call just trying to sell you anything, okay? I'm being honest with you. We offer a service, but service is literally servitude.
Come on.
So when we speak to you, you're connecting with a real human being. Right. We would love to work with you if you're a fit and we're a fit for you. But it starts with a real, genuine connection.
That's
so
right.
Go to the website. You want to speak to us, maybe have some questions about this episode or any other episode, or some things that you may wonder, how do we approach certain things? We're here to communicate with you.
Yeah.
We also hope you pick up our book, The Flight of Your Life. It is published under our own private publishing label.
Whoop, whoop.
Maybe you're someone who's watched this and you're like, they're right. I need to tell my story. I'm willing to make an investment and I want this to become something that I can pass on. Reach out to us. We will figure out a way to make sure to line that book up for you so that you can tell your story and reach those people whose ears were meant to hear it. Coach Yvonne, great job. I appreciate you. And you had a great, great, great series of points that I'm sure anyone listening can take with them. So thank you so much for what you shared.
Of course.
Till next time, guys.